That's perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and kick off and get started here. Everybody, welcome to our Canva for Churches webinar. I am Josh Gibbons, the Director of Training here at Church Visuals, and I'm hanging out today with my good friend and graphic design extraordinaire, Mr. Jason Maric. How's it going today, Jason?
It's good. Hope everyone out there is having a great day.
You guys give it up for Jason. Jason's one of our incredible designers on the team. He is usually hanging out in the Adobe world instead of the Canva world, but somehow I managed to convince him to hang out with us in Canva today. I have no idea how I managed to pull that off, but he's gonna do it.
Quite the charm, that's all.
He's gonna be cool with it. All right. So before we get started today, I do want to let everybody know that you are going to get a very special promo code for $10 off of the Canva course that Jason and I taught together. So this is the Canva for Churches 101 course that's over on our training platform at churchvisuals.com. We want to gift you $10 off of that. That's a $19 course that we are going to give you $10 off of. We'll make sure that you receive that promo code in your email. We've got all of your email addresses from where you guys signed up and registered for this webinar. If you visit our website, churchvisuals.com, and just click on the main navigation at the top and then click on courses, you will be able to find the Canva course in our course library. And we want you guys to be sure to stick around until the end because we've got another special email coming your way at the very end of the webinar today. So lots of really good stuff. Make sure you're on our email list. Make sure that you are subscribed and getting all of the good stuff via email. All right. So before we get into a Q&A session, which is kind of going to be the bulk of this webinar today, we do want to answer your pre-submitted questions. We want to be able to answer your live questions kind of as they come in. We got some great questions on our registration form, some really good stuff that you guys sent in ahead of time. We do want to walk through a couple of things in Canva and just show you guys a few things. This is some stuff from the course, some stuff from some training videos that we've done. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys and we will go right over to our Canva dashboard and homepage real quick. All right, so you guys are now sitting inside my Canva dashboard. Jason, can you see that?
I can. You're looking good.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So this is you guys will recognize this. If you've taken our course or if you've gone through any of our training videos or been in Canva at all yourself, this is the Canva homepage. It's just kind of like where your recent designs live and things like that. And if you're going to bring in a church visuals graphic from the ready-made library and change a few things, this is where you would do that, especially if you're going to start with the PSD file, with the Photoshop file. We've done a training video on uploading those for you. It's a little different than pulling something into your uploads folder in Canva, which is where you would drop other files and things that you're trying to work with, right? So if you're dropping photos or icons or things of that nature in, you're going to do that in your uploads folder. If you pull one of our Photoshop files or one of our Canva friendly PSD files, which we are doing for a lot of our ready-made stuff now, you will want to drag and drop that here into your recent design section and then release, let go, and Canva will import it as a recent design. That is different than an upload. And then you'll be free to tweak that any way that you need to, any way that you see fit. So I'm just going to pull up one of the first ones that I've imported here. This is one of our fall graphics. And let's share this one for you. This is from our ready-made media library. This is one of our pumpkin patch fall fundraiser graphics. And we have pulled this one in as a PSD, but the really cool thing about a lot of our ready-made media is that you will get a alternate version, title version, you will get a blank and another alternate with some different text on it and things like that. So with this one right here being the PSD, the great thing is you'll be able to come in here and edit the text however you need to. So you can change your fonts right here to any type of different font that you might need and do different things there. Your font library in Canva is full of all sorts of fonts for you to play around with. All sorts of different color options. You can match up colors to different things and things like that. So there's some great features and great tools here for you. You can also upload custom fonts. You can also upload custom fonts into your Canva library, which is really useful and really simple. Jason, why don't you speak a little bit here for everybody to fonts and maybe staying on task with fonts, and what are some good tips, designer tips, graphic design tips for fonts?
Absolutely. So the big thing to remember is that any design, any project you're working on, you are conveying a message, right? And so you want to make sure that your fonts help you convey that message. For example, like if I'm doing a women's retreat versus a kids activity, I'm going to use two different fonts for those things. I might use the same font. So you want to make sure you pick a font that helps convey the message that you're wanting to send. You want to make sure that they're legible. Sometimes we see really cool fonts, but we can't read them, and our communication in that design is completely lost, and they're worthless. Another big thing is we want to minimize how many fonts we use. You never want to do more than, I would say, a max of 3 fonts per one design, because too many fonts start getting jumbled up, and then once again your message gets lost. So the big thing to think about whenever you're choosing fonts or really any type of design elements is this communicating what I want to communicate? What is this font going to communicate? What is this graphic going to communicate? What is this background going to communicate? And how are they going to work together to communicate the message that I want to tell people?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Jason is dead on here, guys. If you're picking fonts for a lot of your designs, there's going to be, again, in the Canva library, there's so much you can play around with here, and so many different fonts. And especially if you have the Canva Pro account, one of the really neat things is that you can upload custom fonts to your Canva library. So like you guys can see here, I don't know if I can maybe zoom in and show that to you, or if that's coming up bigger right now or not. But I've got an entire section here of uploaded fonts that I have pulled from various sources and various places on the internet. and pull them into my Canva library. Some of these were free fonts, some of these were fonts that I've paid for, and different things like that. There's going to be all sorts of different options for whatever you might need for a graphic like this in our library. So it's very, very easy, very simple to pull in a graphic from our ready-made media library and kind of edit it and tweak it however you need to. Now, be in mind that with some of our Photoshop files, and Jason, you can probably speak to this a little bit as well because you live in Photoshop, some of the layers may not come into Canva because those are going to be effects and things that are Photoshop exclusive. So like you can see here where like say around this pumpkin right here at the bottom, there's kind of like a little hue, a little glow around it on the JPEG file or the PNG file here. Whereas that's not there over here when I'm editing the original PSD file. And that's probably because that's an Adobe effect. That's probably because that's something that the designer added in Photoshop and it did not cross over into Canva. So things like that, you're going to see some little differences there. And Jason, talk for a minute here about with a graphic like this or some of the other ones that we're going to demo today, about colors and consistency. What's important for folks to remember about colors and matching up colors and not going too crazy with colors?
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, we're communicating an idea. And so, for example, for our pumpkin patch design, we would obviously choose fall colors. We'd use those warm colors such as orange and red, maybe some yellows. And we would use things like green and blue because that would mix up the messages that we're trying to send people, right? And so we want to use colors that communicate our message. It's also important to be consistent with colors. Like when you're using your church branding, whether it be on social media, think about what colors am I using consistently so that people understand that these are our posts. They're being recognized before you even who knows what it's from, who it's from. You see, okay, this must be from my church because they use these colors, they use these fonts. And so keeping on brand with your colors also helps your audience recognize your post on social platforms.
Very good. That's great advice. One of the things here, yeah, especially about staying on brand, we will touch in a little bit for you guys on Canva Pro brand kit feature, which is very helpful, very useful for you guys to be able to load in. If you're at a church and you're a volunteer, say you're in an admin position or you're the volunteer graphic designer at your church, and you've been asked to make sure that your colors stay on brand, Canva Pro does have a brand kit option. It's right over here in your side toolbar. It will say brand, and that will help you guys load in things like custom hex color codes and things like that, so that if there's a very specific color, say for your logo, or like, hey, when we type the name of our church and put it in color, it's only ever in this specific color. You can load that hex color code into your Canva Pro brand kit and match up different things in your designs to make sure that those things all match and stay on brand. So it's a very easy, simple, user-friendly way to do that. All right, I'm gonna share a different tab here for you guys and go over to a different graphic. So this is one of the, I figured I would pull this one because it's a little time relevant, right? Labor Day is coming up pretty soon here. And this is one of the Labor Day ministry graphics from our ready-made media library. And we've done a couple of, short training videos on pulling things out of stuff like this. But I do want to show you guys how to, if you were to pull this into, say, your recent designs as a PSD, there's going to be, again, some things that are going to change, right? Like with this background image. But the really cool thing is with Canva, you can come over here to your elements and search for, if you want a different background, say that this American flag grunge style is not particularly what you're looking for, but you would like to stick with the text that we do have here and the bring the whole family that we have down here at the bottom. You can stick with those. You can open up a new page. You can hit add page and do that and start pulling in other photos that you might want to work with from your elements library in Canva. Now, if you've got Canva Pro, you're going to have access to a wide array of photos and icons and graphics and things like that. But I can come over here to my elements and type in something like American flag and go to my photos section and get endless amounts of American flag options. And I could even be more specific with my search terminology and type in something like American flag grunge and get a bunch of grunge American flag options that I could use instead of the one that came with the graphic from the Church Visuals library. So if I only wanted to use the Labor Day picnic element text here and this text down here at the bottom, I could do that. I could copy and paste that and bring that right over into my other graphic and situate that however I want to here on this particular slide. And obviously you could go back over to your elements library and search for things like picnic icon or things like that, which is going to be more in your graphics category. And you would be able to find all sorts of things there that you could pair up with your text and different things like that. That's going to be something that you'll be able to do there. So, Jason, talk a little bit about like when it comes to swapping out background images and things like that. Is there any particular warning you would have here for some of our volunteer designers on just throwing in any image in particular back there? Obviously, we want to be conscious of things like, hey, if it's a little too light or there's too much white where we're trying to stick this, some of that text may not come through and things like that.
Yeah, so absolutely. You always want to focus on contrast and make sure that whatever your text is, your background doesn't wash that out. And you want to make sure you use high quality images. So many times I've seen designs that use low images and they're blurry, they're fuzzy, and automatically I lose all sense of what they're trying to convey because all I'm focused on is how horrible the background is. So number one thing is you use high quality images. Another thing is to make sure that you can use images that you're allowed to use. Sometimes churches are notorious for going online and Googling it or searching for an image and pulling off whatever they find first, even if that maybe it might be restricted or might not be able to use that image. So I'd say the second thing is make sure you're able to use those images. And obviously, if you're using Canva, like Josh is doing here, all the images that you're going to search for, you're going to be able to use. So just be careful of what images you use and the copyright rules around that.
Yep. Yep. Those are very, very, very good tips, guys. There's a lot of images out there that are, and I can tell you from years of working in just volunteer church ministry, I see the same thing a lot of times where folks will pull graphics or photos that are copyrighted and they didn't have the rights to. And that's something you want to be really conscious of and careful with. The great thing about working inside of Canva is that anything right here in your elements library, in terms of like photography, especially icons and graphics and things like that, for this particular design that we're working on. If we go back to searching American flag grunge, anything within the photos there is all going to be stuff that you can use. Now, the cool thing is Canva will actually denote for you if it is a premium image or an image that just comes standard with your Canva free account if you're running that. So if you see this little crown icon down in the corner of the image, that is an indicator that it's a premium image and is only included with the Canva Pro or Canva Teams plans. So you just want to make sure, to be mindful of that. But either way, the library is a great option for that. All right, I'm going to go over to our last graphic for the day before we get into some Q&A and start taking some questions and share this one here. Let's share this tab. Jason, we should be looking at our fall retreat graphic.
Looks good.
Here from our ready-made library. This is a graphic that we used specifically in a training video that I did that is actually on our training platform right now. It's a short little 3 to 5 minute video about how to edit PSD files in Canva. So again, you want to make sure you pull that PSD file into your recent design section, not your uploads. Release it there. Canva will read it, convert it. And again, some little things like fonts are probably going to change. If there is a font that the designer used that is not standard in your Canva library, Canva is going to change it to something else. It may be a little jumbled, it may be oversized. You're going to want to tweak that font and pick something else that you feel like matches there. But in this section, I want to show you guys real quick just how to animate your text. So if you go up to your top toolbar right here, next to effects, you're going to have an animate option. And this is great for if you're building out like slide sets for presentations, or social media graphics that you want to kind of catch some attention in the scroll, right? If this is something that you want to really grab attention, you can hover over your text here and animate it all sorts of different ways. There's going to be letter by letter options, things like wipe, things like pop, all sorts of different really cool things here that you can play with kind of on your own time. But Canva and Canva Pro especially do come with several different animation features, tools, options for your text. And once you select, the really nice thing is for something like this, let's just pick the burst feature here. You will also have the option if you want to animate that particular line of text on the entrance only, or on the exit only, or on both, which is really, really handy feature. So if you only want the text to be animated when you pull up that slide, you can do that. But if you would like the text to exit with an animation before you move to your next slide or your next graphic, you can do that as well. So that's a really cool feature there. Jason, you've worked with a lot of the graphics in the ready-made library that show up in like our theme packs, right? And our theme packs typically include things like motion content and animated content. So maybe talk a little bit here when it comes to animation. This stuff is fun to play with, and it can be very useful, even in social media graphics. But what would you say kind of separates an animation from being cheesy versus professional and useful?
Yeah, animations are great and they add to our design, but just like fonts, colors, images, we want to make sure that we're adding animations that help communicate our message, right? We want to use animations that go along with our theme. And sometimes, can get carried away with animations. We want everything flying different directions and things popping up and things zooming out that it almost hurts someone's eyes to watch this graphic, like go
So
all these
true.
different directions. And so sometimes less is more when it comes to animation, so make sure that it's adding to your design and not distracting from it.
That's right. That's right. Less is more. Keep your timing natural, guys. And remember that subtlety always will help to draw attention more than over exaggeration. That's a big thing, especially in something like your slide presentations. The more subtle the animation, the better for a lot of that kind of stuff. That's probably what you're going to want to stick with there. All right. And last but not least, let me just show you guys real quick the magic resize option. We'll demo it on this slide here. We could really just pick any 19 by 20 slide. Oh, and just for a side note, guys, when you pull in your PSD file, your text is probably going to look something a little more like this, something more generic and basic before you start changing it over to custom text like this. So that's kind of how that's going to go. Like this font right here is the original font from the original design, from the original PSD file. So I've pulled in a couple of like the title graphics just to give you guys an example. Like here's the blank alternate without any of the text or icons and things like that. Now the cool thing is Canva does have what is called a magic resize feature. It's right up here next to the file option in your very top menu bar. It's not in your toolbar, it's in your menu bar. So right next to file, you'll see resize. And it's got the little crown icon next to it to indicate that this is a Canva Pro feature. So let's say you're working on a widescreen slide like this, but you need to turn it into a social image, right? So we're talking something like maybe like a 1080 by 1080 graphic for Instagram or something like that. You can resize this, and Canva will allow you to choose from different aspect ratios. Okay, so if I hit resize, it's going to give me 3 or 4 different options right off the bat here that it suggests. But you can also go down to browse by category, and there's an option here that says social media. You've got print products, you've got presentations, you've also got your custom size, obviously, if you'd like to just type in your dimensions yourself. But if you hit social media, the really great thing about Canva is that they have all of the latest data about social media dimensions loaded in for you. Okay, so Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, everything is in there for you, preloaded in, so that you can select whatever you need. So if we need to turn this into an Instagram story or an Instagram post anything like that, we can do that right here. Now, keep in mind, it's going to change the canvas a little bit, right? So you're probably going to end up with like some blank space, and you're going to have to tweak it a little bit yourself. So let's say we turn this into a 1080 by 1080. We hit copy and resize. It will open up in a new tab for us, and I will share this tab instead. And you can see here how it's morphed it a little bit, right? So like we've got some stuff down here at the bottom that's not necessarily supposed to be there, but the dimensions are correct for us. So we can now go pull that and go back and change that however we need to. And the great thing about a lot of our miniature graphics packs, and especially our theme packs, is that we include the social media graphic for you, right? So you could even open this new canvas, delete everything that's here, and then go upload the social graphic yourself because you're already within a 1080 by 1080 canvas right here. So that's a really great handy feature for us to do. Jason, speak a little bit to aspect ratios. We got some questions regarding this in our pre-submitted questions. Why are aspect ratios important across different platforms and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So each social platform is going to have its own recommended dimensions. If you're not sure what those are, a quick search online can tell you those. But if you do not upload the correct aspect ratio, let's say to Instagram, it's going to crop it for you, and it might not be how you want it to look. It might have some spaces to the left, or might chop off some of your photo. So if you don't upload the right photo, you're not able to control how that appears on social platform to your users seeing it. So you want to make sure that you use the correct aspect ratio so that you are ensuring that it's going out to all these social platforms correctly.
Yes, exactly, exactly. All right, I think we are going to move into a little bit of Q&A now. If we have a little bit of time, I will come back to, you know what, let's just do this real fast.
Getting crazy up in here.
Yeah, we're gonna move. I'm gonna show you guys one quick last thing. I really want you guys to know how to do this, and I have pulled Jason's staff photo from the Church Visuals website to show you guys how to do this. All right, look at that handsome guy right there. Okay, you guys should know that that Canva Pro, this is only a pro feature, does have a background removing option. This is just a real quick design nugget that I want you guys to know about. It is going to be in your main toolbar when you click on the photo or the icon or the element that you're trying to work with. In this case, we're working with a picture of Jason. If you hit background remover right here, it will pull the background right out of Jason's picture. And now keep in mind, if you're going to use this picture of Jason or anyone else with a transparent background, you will need to export it, which you can do right up here in the top right corner with your share feature, as a PNG with a transparent background. So when I hit share and go to download, I will have several different options here for the file type, and Canva's going to automatically suggest the PNG because it's already reading, hey, you pulled the background out of this, you probably want that as a PNG. Obviously, you've got other options here like PDFs, GIFs, MP4 videos, even PowerPoint, all sorts of stuff here. For the sake of something like this that we've yanked the background out of, you're going to want to do it as a PNG. And the really cool thing is, once you've pulled that background out, I could take that photo of Jason and go back over to any of our other graphics. So let's share this tab instead and stick Jason on that graphic. And you can see how the background is now gone from his original photo, and he's right there next to whatever we're working with in this
People are gonna be
particular.
signing up for that fall retreat like crazy now.
That's right. He's the guest speaker for our fall retreat. So this is a really cool way for you guys to just be able to do that without having to work within a lot of different complex tools and things in a different design program. Canva will, if the background and the contrast between the foreground image and the background image is solid enough, Canva will pull that right out for you, and you can drop it into another design.
Two things to be mindful of when you're doing this. You want to make sure that one, your image is high quality, so that it has plenty of pixels, not pickle pixels to pull from, and also you want to make sure that, I think Josh mentioned this earlier, that whatever the subject and the background, you want a nice high contrast that makes it easier for Canva or any program to pull that background out of it.
Yeah, we can work with pixels if we need to, though, Jason. I'm telling you,
I
we
mean,
could.
I work with, I love a good
Yeah,
pickle
I was gonna
sandwich.
say. Yeah, we could get some graphics of those from the ready-made library. I want animate.
I'm waiting for the memes to start coming up now.
I'm resisting the urge to animate some pickles in this design
I think you
right
should do it.
now,
Throw them
dude.
in there.
I could have some dancing pickles, man. I am not to be trusted in Canva. All right, guys, let's get into. I'm gonna pull Jason back out of this graphic, and let's get into a little bit of Q&A time. We just want to take some of your questions. We want to deal with some of your pre-submitted questions that you guys submitted early on when you were registering. I'm gonna stop sharing this tab here and we'll pull this back to just me and Jason for a little bit. All right. All right. So let's touch on a couple of things here. I'm going to jump into some pre-submitted questions. Pastor Glenn of Crossroads Assembly of God wanted to know how difficult is it to convert to Canva because he's been using Microsoft PowerPoint for about 20 years. And I just want to let Pastor Glenn know I came from a church as a volunteer communications director that was only using PowerPoint for years for all of their worship media, for all of their sermon series graphics and things like that. They had not moved over to anything like ProPresenter or Presenter or anything like that. Canva has an extremely user-friendly dashboard and interface. In fact, if you're accustomed to programs like PowerPoint, Publisher, and things like that, you will be able to pick up Canva and even Canva Pro very quickly. There's some more advanced design-oriented features and tools in there that are probably more comparable to something like Photoshop or Jason, is it Photoshop Elements? Is that what it's called, or what is it?
Adobe Express.
Adobe Express. There we
Yeah.
go. Probably more comparable to something like that. So if you're not quite as familiar with design tools and design software, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. But as far as the fundamentals and the basics and the tools go, it is extremely easy to come over to if you're used to Microsoft programs. So that being said, let's see here. We had Sandra from Antioch Baptist Church who asked about Canva Teams. She was actually asking, I need to know how to set up my own team site so that I can work on things and my team and I can work together, but I would still like to have my own separate space. And Canva Teams is perfect for that, Sandra. I just want to let you know. In fact, we'll drop a link into the chat or a link onto our Facebook page later. If you go to canva.com/teams, this is the plan you're going to want to be looking at for something like this. This is not an actual feature of Canva. It's its own separate plan that allows for great collaboration. So whereas Canva Pro is for like individual users, Canva Teams is specifically designed for medium-sized and small-sized businesses and churches and nonprofits to be able to collaborate with their teams kind of in like centralized workspaces and things like that. It's a lot easier to move through like your brand kits and stuff. I've done it with a few folks. Some of the key features in there are like shared workspaces, shared folders, internal communication with your clients and your teammates, being able to chat privately with your teammates versus your clients, things like that. So it's really great for stuff like that. I would, if you're looking for something with some collaboration, Canva Teams is the way to go.
I sympathize with Sandra. Don't people mess with my design either.
Right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
figure there, Sandra.
And then let's see here. We've got Bill from Journey by Free Grace Methodist Church. He's the social media director there. Was saying that he is currently using Canva to create infographics for his church, along with some other staff members, and he would like to explore how to unify branding and the overall look. And Jason, I kind of want to toss this one to you
hmm
here. What sort of pointers and tips would you have for doing that? Say, like in the graphic design space, you're kind of trying to get on brand with your colors and your graphics and things like that.
Yeah, so obviously your church is going to have its own brand kit, whether you know it or not. They have one. Whether that'll be fonts that you use, colors that you use, and also the language that you use. A lot of times churches will speak a certain language that they find on social media. or anything they put out to the church. And so it's important to know that we're going to you be consistent in those colors, and whether that's infographic or postcards, whatever it is, you want to be consistent in the look and the feel. That way, people automatically know, oh, this is from my church, or oh, this is talking about this. And you can even do brand specific for an event. Let's say you're doing an event or you're doing infographics, and let's say you're doing like 5 infographics. Well, you want all those to be similar theme together, so people know like, oh, this is a 5-part series, and each one of these goes together. So we're going to use the similar fonts, we're going to use similar colors, and people automatically will associate those together when you do that.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys, we're going to jump into some of your live questions now that are coming in into the chat. And we've got our wonderful producer, Kevin, dropping some of those questions in here for us right now. So I'm going to go over to that and see what we can pull here. All right, we've got a question coming in on how can I use Canva's, the Canva slideshow into presenter software, specifically if there's a video in the center of the slideshow. Okay, so if you are using Canva to create slides, that's a great question actually, because a lot of volunteer ministry leaders, admin assistants, graphic designers, that's what they're using Canva for, right? They're creating their Sunday morning slides in there. Whether they're doing it on their own and creating custom stuff, or whether they're pulling in ready-made media from someone like us from Church Visuals Library and pulling our ministry graphics in there, they're making 1920 by 1080 widescreen slides. You're going to want to export your image slides as PNGs. Okay, so if you've got a slide that's specifically just an image, that's all it is, it's got text on it and a graphic, export that as a PNG or a JPEG, and then drop that into your presentation software on your blank slide. Whether that's PowerPoint, whether that's ProPresenter, whether that's Presenter by Worship Tools, whatever you happen to be using, make sure that you drop that in as an image. However, if you've got a video on your slide and you want to put that in your presentation software, Canva is going, when you go to share up in the top right corner and then export it, Canva is going to suggest automatically that you export that as an MP4 file because there's a video on it. So that's what I'm going to highly recommend, is what Canva is going to recommend. If you have a video on your slide that you need to play during your presentation, so like say this is a sermon illustration or something like that, or a welcome bumper, you're going to want to export that as an MP4, drop it into your slide presentation, and make sure that that video plays as a video file. The .mp4 file extension is what you're going to want to use for that, for a video for sure. Jason, do you want to speak to that at all, or let's see, we got another
covering that.
I think we've got some more live questions coming in here. So let's see here. Great question coming in. Is there a way to blend or screen 2 images or textures in Canva? This is from Ed Volts. All right, so in Canva Pro, actually, there are going to be some various tools and features that you could use to do that. These are going to be pro features only, and they're going to be a lot more complex, in-depth, and involved than what you're going to find, obviously, in the free account in Canva. Now in Photoshop, and Jason, you can speak to this a little bit because you do that all the time in your designs. Talk us through like the fundamentals of like how that actually works. And this is possible in Canva, but it's probably not going to be as solid as what you could do in Photoshop.
Yeah, so whenever you're using multiple images, the big thing is layering and making sure those images does match up together. And a lot of times when you're layering images, you are pulling the background out of one image and you're isolating it. So it's using those principles we talked about earlier about high quality photos, great contrast, so that when you pull it in together, you're not seeing halos around the outside of your image. You're not seeing one image super sharp, the other image is super blurry, because all those things are going to distract from your project.
That's right. That's right. Now there are some really neat blending tools and features, and we may do a. It's actually a great question. I may actually wind up doing a separate training video on that for you guys, because in Canva Pro you can there's some things you can do there. I would not say that rival what Photoshop is capable of doing, but that come pretty close. You're just going to have to know where those tools and features are. And then you're going to have to go about it a little bit different way than you would in Photoshop. But it is possible. And there's some really great designs that have been turned out specifically out of Canva Pro only using what Canva Pro is capable of doing. So yes, you can do that. It's just going to be a little bit more involved than what you would probably do in Adobe. Let's see here. We've got another question coming in from, oh, this is a great font question. Our brand font is an Adobe font. Can we upload that? Yes, you can, as long as your Adobe font, if you have your Adobe font saved separately as a font file. Jason, help me out here. That's like a what is it? OTF?
OTF or TTF, yeah.
There you go. OTF or TTF. If you have your font saved, you can upload it into Canva and Canva Pro. In fact, you can do it in your Canva free account. So that's something that will be very, very helpful for you to be able to stay on brand. So if your church name, your church logo, different things that you're doing at your church require that custom font, as long as you've got the font file, Canva and Canva Pro are capable of reading a wide range and variety of different font files. TTFs, OTFs, and 3 or 4 others some of which I've never even heard of. It will read all of them, and all you've got to do is go into the font menu. There will be a little option in your drop-down menu that says Upload Custom Font. It might have a little crown next to it to let you know that's Pro feature. Just hit that, and you'll be able to upload that file. All right, let's see here. We've got another question coming in. This one's from Michael. Can Canva be used to make lower thirds for use with live streaming with hardware like the ATEM Mini Pro? Oh, wow. ATEM Mini Pro. Good question. I can speak to the graphic side of this and let you know that yes, you can design lower thirds in Canva Pro. In fact, there are preloaded templates for this. If you pull up the template, if you pull up your home page and then go to the search bar at the top where you can search for templates and type in something like lower thirds, you'll get a wide array of options there that you could use. Now, some folks might want to design their own, obviously, or kind of like take one and customize it and tweak it a little bit. You can change the colors to match your brand colors, like we discussed. You can, like, if you've got your hex color code, you can change your lower third to match whatever you need to and things like that. But I would assume that the ATEM Mini Pro would read, Jason, I'm not sure if you are familiar with those, would read a PNG or a JPEG file. If you export your lower third as an image, I would assume you could upload it as an image. That's probably what you're going to have to do.
My guess would be you could export that as a PNG and then add that into any type of presentation software.
Right, exactly, yeah. I would recommend exporting that lower third once you've designed it in Canva or Canva Pro, exporting it as a PNG and then uploading it into your live stream hardware. Yes, it's great for that. Canva Pro is great for designing all sorts of little assets and different things like that. Again, the elements library where the graphics and the icons live are full of options for things like that. Lower thirds, templates for various things, and stuff like that. They're all fantastic for that. So, all right, we are coming up on 12:45 here. So, Jason, I'm kind of going to wrap this out a little bit. But I do want to say, first of all, to everybody that's submitted some questions and that's dropping questions into the chat here are great. We've got one guy asking if the rest of our training videos are on YouTube. Yes, some of them are over on our YouTube channel. Just do a YouTube search for Church Visuals. And then a lot of them are over on our training platform at churchvisuals.com, which is where you're also going to find the Canva for Churches 101 course that Jason and I did. You guys will all have a promo discount in your email for that. So thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. I know this was quick, but we're going to drop a lot of other really cool information and Canva tutorial stuff for you on our social media and our training platform kind of as we move along through the coming weeks. So this was great. I got to hang out for a little while and play in Canva, and Jason got to put up with me and answer questions about design and insert his commentary on good design.
That's what I'm here for. Real
That
fast,
is,
Josh, before we leave, we have to let people know about Canva for nonprofits. So if you are a
yes.
nonprofit, most churches are, and you have a valid 501c3 with the government, you can
Yep.
apply for a Canva for nonprofits, which basically you heard Josh talk a lot about Canva Pro versus Canva Standard. Basically, you get all of the features of Canva Pro for free. So check out, I think it's was it canva.com/, there it is, Canva for nonprofits, and you can apply for that. So all these things that Josh has been talking about, you can use for free in your ministry.
Yes, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that back up, Jason. Actually,
Mhm.
if you're a church and you do, yeah, if you have your right 501c3 paperwork, you can get Canva Pro for free, which is great. You do not have to pay for the Pro plan. So that's really cool. So this has been great today, guys. I want to encourage you one last time. Be sure to check out our Canva for Churches 101 course. This is a multi-session course that Jason and I did together over on the training platform. That's where the deep dive into Canva is going to be. Check out our training videos on Canva. And if you ever want Jason's Adobe level design skills, you will have to bribe him with something, probably coffee. I don't know what it would
Uh,
be.
and a donut as well. That always works.
Yeah, probably a donut. You were talking about needing to lose weight earlier, man. I don't know if I need to bring a donut to you.
No, I
we'll,
can't
we'll
resist.
we'll Photoshop some weight off of Jason. We'll
Put my
have Jason.
skills to work.
That'll be our next training video. so so thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Be sure to hit the course and just know. I mean, if you go create a free account, man, that's like $1,000 worth of free training resources right there. Hit churchvisuals.com and at least make a free account. You'll have access to all of our training resources, no strings attached. We want you guys to know with all of this, with Canva, with our ready-made graphics, we're on mission with you. We are here for you. Anything that you may need, feel free to reach out, contact us. We will see you guys next time for another webinar. Go create something amazing.
You have to go to work, guys.